Good day, everyone, and welcome to Verlita's Everything in Between podcast. I am the host, Verlita Odom. It's nearly March, but this is my first episode of the new year. So, Happy New Year to everyone. And I truly hope and pray that 2023 is the start of something new and beautiful and long lasting in your life. My first episode of the 2023 season is going to be a continuation of the domestic violence episode that I recorded back in August of 2022. At that time, told you guys I would probably do a follow-up episode. So here it is. If you haven't listened to the first episode from the first domestic violence episode back in August of 2022, I really want to encourage you guys to go back and listen to that episode first before listening to this one, just because I would rather you have a more well-rounded view and perspective on this subject. I will see you guys after the break, and I hope that what you hear will help. So when we were together last, I left you with a couple of questions that I said I would be addressing on part two. One of the things I said was that we would be discussing the tactics that abusers tend to use. However, since that time, I've kind of thought about it, and I really think it's more important to understand why they do what they do. It's not necessarily as important to focus on all the little things. Well, I wouldn't say little things, but it's not as important to focus on all the tactics that they use as it is to understand why they do what they do, why they use those tactics. The entire purpose of an abuser using various situations and tactics is to gain control over the other person, to gain control, to gain power, and to maintain that. And it's basically a pattern of behavior that the abuser engages in. And of course, some of the tactics that they use could be anything from some of the things we already discussed, which is to physically abuse the individual, to emotionally or verbally abuse the individual, sexually assault or attack the individual. They might use the children as pawns to try to gain control and maintain control in a relationship. Whatever it is that the victim finds important in their life or necessary in their life, and the abuser is aware of that, they are going to try to manipulate the situation and to abuse that situation and to use those things in order to control the victim. So, it's a pattern of behavior that the abuser engages in over and over again. Why? Because it's worked in the past. Whether it be a past relationship or relationships, or whether it be with the current victim. The abuser is using the tactics that they're using because it's worked for them before. And so they have no reason, obviously, if there's no moral compass that they have, then they don't have a reason to do anything different other than what has worked for them because it gets them what they want. What about the victim who chooses to stay? Up next. I'm telling you, it seems simple to say they should leave. A person should leave if they are the victim of domestic violence, but it's not always so simple. There are so many reasons why a person might stay. They could stay because obviously they're fearful that they would be hurt severely by leaving. They may stay because financially they cannot support themselves, and that's definitely a common situation because a lot of times the abuser will make the situation and arrange the situation to where they are the primary breadwinner and the victim is dependent upon their income. So it makes it hard for the victim to leave. A victim may stay because the abuser has threatened to harm the children, if there are children there, the abuser may threaten to harm the victim's mother or father, siblings, just someone they care about. There are just lots of reasons why a victim would choose to remain in a situation. And again, even if the plan is to ultimately leave, you have to think about what keeps the person safe until the time comes to leave. What each victim should know, up next. I think that, each victim needs to understand that there is a cycle of abuse that they are likely experiencing. It's basically the calm period of time, the calm phase. Then tensions start to build for whatever reason, legitimate or fictitious, perceived issues amongst as far as the abuser. Then there's violence. There's the violent episode, and then there's going to be the makeup period. There's going to be the honeymoon period where they're apologetic and they're sorry and they'll never do it again, and they're going to buy you things and take you places and spoil you. And then of course if you decide to stay, there's going to be the calm period where they're seem to be well behaved, so to speak, and doing the things they need to do, not being violent, not being abusive. And then guess what? It starts all over again. There's going to be a period where the tension is building all over again. And then there's going to be the violent episode. And then there's going to be the honeymoon period. So I think it's important that if you are a victim of intimate partner violence or domestic violence, think about those phases that I just mentioned. Have you experienced those things? Are you currently experiencing a situation like that? And you can recognize just from the descriptions that I just gave, you can recognize, that pattern in your own life. And so, again, it's the pattern the pattern is there because it's worked for the abuser, and it's a cycle. And if you are the victim, it's important that you break that cycle. How you choose to break that cycle, whether if you choose to stay in the relationship, and ask that they get counseling. um if you choose to leave the relationship and get help, then of course that is your choice as well. I just know from my personal experience of working with victims of domestic violence, in those cases the women had to leave. They're just the abuser was didn't see that there was a problem. It was something, again, usually it's something that's been years in the making, behaviors that have maybe they witnessed as a child, generations of abuse. Maybe they witnessed as a child. Maybe they never were in a domestic violence household. Maybe they never witnessed that, but then they just learned and developed that pattern for themselves as they got older. But usually there is a history of that in more than one relationship. And, most people do and repeat the things that work for them or the things they think work for them. So, in the situations that I've witnessed and been a part of, rarely did the abuser change or get help unless it was court ordered. Um, Most of the situations I witnessed, the woman had to leave and had to hide, basically flee, and had to hide and to protect herself and her children, if there were children involved in the case. So I'm not here to say one way or the other because I know we're all adults and we can make our own choices. I personally have my own opinion, which I feel like victim should leave the abuser. That's what I believe should be done. But I've witnessed many women stay in hopes that things would change. Whether it does or not, I don't know. But What can you do to support a woman or a male that you know of who chooses to stay? Um, well, let's one of the things you can do is to make sure that they are aware that you're there for them. That if they need to talk, if they need help, just being encouraging to them. I think that just speaking positively into their life and letting them know that they're worthy of change, they're worthy of love, self love, and also love from others, and that love does not hurt. I think that's an important thing for people to understand. Someone loves you, they're not going to be okay putting their hands on you or harming you in any way. Love doesn't hurt. So I think that as a friend, you can just be emotionally supportive of your friend. I think you can be supportive of them. Also, you can encourage them to, put a plan together, a safety plan. If you've ever looked up a safety plan, filled one out, helped someone fill one out, you know that they are pretty specific. They're going to have information on there of who the individual can call, because there's the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which is 1-800-799-7233, or you can text 88788, and they can help you help your friend plan to leave. So I think that that's one another way you can encourage them is for them to put together a safety plan of, when the time comes, when they're going to leave, how they're going to leave. You can be as specific as the time of day based on that your abuser's schedule. When would be the safest time for you to leave the home? Pack your things, or maybe sometimes you can't pack your things. There are times when there have been women who have left with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Sometimes it is that kind of a situation. So I definitely think that you can encourage them emotionally, and then also encourage them to create a safety plan. Perhaps get in touch with a licensed counselor or a licensed professional who is able to assist them as well. If you are able to help them find shelter somewhere, it doesn't have to be in your home. If you know of any shelters, that they're willing to go to, maybe, connecting them to that resource, because community resources are so important when you are trying to help and assist someone plan their escape. So as I said before, you can, Google safety plans or safety planning for domestic violence situations, and safety plans will come up. But if you want to visit the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, you can do so, and they have some steps that you can take when you're safety planning. I just found it interesting. For instance, when I went to their website to just review some of the questions and some of the things that people should do. It also includes individuals who are not just a plan to leave, but even what's the plan if you're staying, right? So, for instance, one of the questions or one of the things they want people to plan is, when you feel like a fight is coming on, when you feel the tension building, or you feel like there's about to be a violent episode, it says, well, let me just read it. It says, when I feel a fight coming on, I will try to move to a place that is lowest risk of getting hurt, such as what? And this could be a place at work. It could be a place at home or a place in public. So it actually encourages the victim to think about what they can do when they feel a fight coming on or the abuser about to get violent. What can you do to decrease the risk of getting hurt or harmed in that situation? It also encourages you, when you're ready, to tell your family, your coworkers, your boss, counselors, or just a good close friend about your situation so that someone else is aware of what's going on with you. Um, Again, it's only when you feel ready and you feel it's safe to reveal that to a trusted source. So you can do that. You can develop code words that you share with that individual so that they know. Let's say you call them and you say the word. They know that you are in a really bad situation at that moment. And, it could be the code for them to call the police or to send help to you wherever you are. So when you're leaving work, there's ways that they want you to plan, to keep yourself safe. If you're even exercising, walking your dog, being aware of your surroundings and keeping yourself safe. So, a few updated statistics that I've learned since the last time we were together discussing this subject back in August. Data from the United States crime reports suggest that about 1 in 5 homicide victims are killed by an intimate partner. The report also found that over half of female homicide victims in the United States are killed by a current or former male intimate partner. Data from the Bureau of Justice Statistics show that approximately 75% of female homicides and 85% of attempted female homicides started with stalking. And trust me, this is not to scare females because males are victims as well, and males are survivors as well. If you want to find out, do your own research, be able to speak a little bit more about this and just help someone else, you can always go to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and they are at ncadv.org. You can also go to the National Domestic Violence Hotline website, which is www.thehotline.org, or you can call 1-800-799-7233. Some of the statistics that I've given you came from those websites. In addition, you can go to loveisrespect.org for information, and also tadlaw.com. Now, one of the trainings that I just finished up a couple of months ago was actually conducted by Ron Modern, and he is a PhD, an LCDC, an RTC. He runs the Modern Institute. I believe it's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I hope that this information helps someone. I know personally people who have experienced domestic violence, males and females. Several of the males didn't identify it as that. They just considered it just, some crazy woman, some crazy female, some, lady who's just strung out behind me. But no, you are actually a victim of domestic violence. That is what you are. It doesn't always, again, have to be physical. That violence can be in the form of, her damaging your property, stalking you, intimidating new girlfriends that you have. So yes, this happens a lot. Not only to females, but to males as well. So again, if you guys have any questions, if there's anything you want me to speak to in future episodes, please let me know. You can follow me on Instagram at Verlita's Everything in Between, and it will come up. You can always, of course, follow me on Spotify, also Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. If you know me personally, you can send me messages, and I will be more than happy to try to help in any way that I can. I appreciate you guys taking the time as always. I love doing what I'm doing. I love bringing information to you guys, and I love the feedback that I get. I know that my podcasts are not perfect. No one and nothing is. But again, the bigger issue is just trying to help, to empower people to and educate people so that they can make better informed decisions in their lives. Love you guys, and until next time, be well.